Hello and welcome to Stripe Dialogues. Today we are having a special show for on the occasion of Independence Day. Normally, we speak about independence of a country based on based on the day when it got independence. But is that really the true independence? क्या वो सही आज़ादी है? हमें इस पर विचार करने की ज़रूरत है और देखना है कि क्या हमारे देश को एक सच्ची आज़ादी मिल चुकी है या इसमें और लंबा रास्ता तय करना है। Today, to discuss this very issue, we have with us Team Stripe. We have our own people who will be discussing this and starting from without any specific particular order. Sir, welcome Dr. Maheshwari to the show, sir.
Thank you so much,
Welcome,
and
Dr.
happy Independence Day.
Thank you, sir, and welcome, Jan Kakkad, and welcome, Major A.K. Singh. We will
Thank
also be
you.
joined by we will also be joined by मेजर जनरल चतुर्वेदी। तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा शो होने वाला है। अलग-अलग लोग हैं, अलग-अलग राय हैं और एक ऐसा मुद्दा है जिस पर कि सभी की अलग-अलग एक व्यू हो सकती है। तो स्टार्ट करते हैं हम सबसे पहले जो अपना अपना जो डिस्कशन है उसको ओपन करेंगे हम जनरल काकड़ से। ये देखा गया है कि नॉर्मली हम इंडिपेंडेंस की जब बात करते हैं तो कई सारे ऐसे मुद्दे हैं, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ अदर इश्यूज व्हिच वी डोंट रियली कंसीडर। हैव वी रियली गॉट ट्रू इंडिपेंडेंस? इट मींस, डू वी हैव द इकोनॉमिक सिक्योरिटी व्हिच वी डिजायर? डू यू हैव द मिलिट्री सिक्योरिटी व्हिच वी डिजायर? इज uh, everyone in the country fully satisfied with the way our economics is developing? Likewise, there are many other issues. Military security का मतलब खाली ये नहीं है कि हमारे पास एक capability है, but क्या वो capability हमारी खुद की है? क्या हम उसमें इंडिपेंडेंट हैं या फिर अब कोई ऐसा समय आएगा जब दूसरा हमारी जो ये मिलिट्री कैपेबिलिटी है उसको डिक्टेट करेगा। मेरा कहने का मतलब है हमारे इंपोर्ट कंटेंट कितना है, हम कितना एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, कितना अपने देश में बनाते हैं। इस तरह की कई सारी चीज़ें सामने आती हैं जब हम बात करते हैं कि हमारी मिलिट्री कैपेबिलिटी ट्रूली क्या है। आज की डेट में हो सकता है हमारे पास आदमी हो लड़ाई लड़ने के लिए, बट क्या हमारे पास साजो सामान है जो कि खुद हम बनाते हों? जरूरी नहीं कि सारा चीज हम खुद बनाए, बट मेजॉरिटी। दुनिया कनेक्टेड भी है, हम इंडिपेंडेंट भी रहना चाहते हैं, हम आत्मनिर्भर भी रहना चाहते हैं। क्या हम एक्चुअली आत्मनिर्भर रह सकते हैं कनेक्टेड हो करके भी, जबकि एक दूसरे के ऊपर डिपेंडेंस है बिकॉज ऑफ डिजिटाइजेशन और ऐसी कई सारी चीजें हैं। सर आपसे मैं जन कक्कड़ सर, मैं आपसे पहला सवाल पूछना चाहूंगा और वो ये है कि do we really have the true military security in the country, or we need a lot of time to go ahead with? And we'll start off after this when Jan Chaturvedi start off with the economic security. Over to you, Jan Kakkad sir.
See, today the world is a global village. With digitization, everything is connected, interconnected. Secondly, जहाँ पे इंडस्ट्री का सवाल है, at what stage do you say you are truly independent or you are truly Atmanirbhar? You may be manufacturing, you may be researching, you may be developing, but you will always have to depend on someone else. Ab Taiwan ke chips are used in equipment in every part of the world. The US is blocking chips from China. It is blocking parts from China, basically because it doesn't want to be sucked in. अब हमारी जो मिलिट्री कैपेबिलिटीज हैं वो हम अपने चैलेंजेस के लिए डेवलप कर रहे हैं, बट कैपेबिलिटी बिल्डिंग, कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग जो एक देश को चाहिए, इट नीड्स टाइम। ये इमीडिएटली बन नहीं सकती, बट रेगुलरली जैसे आपकी कैपेसिटी या कैपेबिलिटी बिल्डअप होती है, यू स्टार्ट मूविंग फ्रॉम the older series to the newer series of weapons, older technology to better technology. जब तक आप ये बेटर टेक्नोलॉजी इम्बाइब करोगे, दिस बिकम्स द ओल्डर टेक्नोलॉजी. कहते हैं that your state of weapon should be 33% in three parts. 33% obsolete, 33% uh, in the state of current technology, 33% state of art. हमारा skewed है. We are skewed towards obsolete. We are skewed towards current. State of art कम है. But ये ongoing cycle है which will take time. The major problem that we have is the changing nature of threats, which is going to be largely technological, which needs a lot more investment, which is happening, but it is slow. So, उसके अलावा, if you look at the defense industry, बहुत बात करते हैं आत्मनिर्भर भारत की, but that is work in progress. How much will we be actually Atmanirbhar with time to come? I would say about 70 to 80%. Even when it is implemented, Hamesha there will be parts, there will be something or the other which you need to import. Agar if from India, if we are exporting to Lockheed Martin, unka fuselage, unke baki equipment, which is also coming from other parts of the world, but हम कहते हैं कि भाई US is आत्मनिर्भर. So there is never something like 100% Atmanirbhar. Yes, if we achieve a stage where we don't have to look over our shoulder, कि भाई उस देश से आना है, नहीं आया, ये दिक्कत है, then we are in a stage of Atmanirbhar. We are moving there. We've begun this process barely 7, 8 years ago. And you cannot achieve this sort of progress or become independent or become Atmanirbhar in 8 to 10 years. It is work in progress. The fact is, जो काम शुरू हुआ है, as long as that work keeps moving, as long as we keep moving forward, we will achieve. Similarly, with our capability and capacity, we have to have the ability to deter. India does not seek territory. अगर हमारे अंदर वो deterrence capability created है, then I would say we are able to manage our threats. And today, I can say positively that you have the deterrence capabilities against your neighbors, against your threats. But that is not enough. It has to keep building. The greater the deterrence capability, the more secure is the nation. Thank you, Dushyant.
Uh, Absolutely right, sir. Today we are not in a position to say that we are there, but yes, we do have the deterrence capability. हमारे अंदर वो क्षमता है कि हम अपने दुश्मन को जवाब दे सकें। लेकिन धीरे-धीरे आप देख रहे हैं कि नेचर ऑफ वॉरफेयर चेंज होता जा रहा है, तो इससे मेरा अगला सवाल है, क्योंकि अगर हमारी ये जो पोज़ीशन है और हमारी जो कैपेबिलिटी है, इफ इट इज़ लिमिटेड टू द एक्सटेंट ऑफ टाइम, वी आर सीइंग दैट देयर इज़ अ टेंडेंसी नाउ ऑफ प्रोलॉन्ग्ड वॉर्स। धीरे-धीरे और लंबे-लंबे वॉर्स की तरफ कहानी बढ़ रही है आजकल, स्पेशली अगर आप रशिया-यूक्रेन का भी वॉर देखें। तो मुझे ये लगता है कि along with this military capability, we need to have a very sound international relations which should be able to assure us that sustenance or the logistics stamina required to fight an extended battle. What do you have to say on international relations to back up this shortcoming in the time frame of in the current capability gap which we have as far as our ideal requirement and the current requirement? So how should we pitch our international relations?
See,
What should
today,
be our...
today the way we are with a multi group strategy approach, wherein we are not, though we are aligned very clearly with the West, our alliance with Russia, alliance with our other suppliers remains the same. The reason being today, if a nation is economically sound, if a nation has no very clear cut, one sided strategy, the world will stand with you and the world will bank you. Today, we are willing to support. You will definitely get support. The fact, Dushant, like we're talking of prolonged conflict, we take the Russia Ukraine war as a possible example Major reason why the war has continued this long is because Russia, a member of the UNSC, with a power of veto, and is unwilling to accept anything other than victory in Ukraine, and its objectives being vastly different, will not let you enforce peace. But is this going to be the trend across the world in future wars? वो उसमें हमेशा doubt है. You take the other wars that have gone through, whether you take Azerbaijan, Armenia, you take anything else, they have not prolonged long. Secondly, Ukraine is non-nuclear.
Uh,
By
I
being
I
non-nuclear,
I
this
I would like to intervene here, sir. While I agree, आपके point से मैं fully सहमत हूँ कि Russia being what it is, therefore it has that driver's seat in its hand. But you could also look at the wars like Syria में देख लीजिए. Syria carried on for quite some time, and
See,
there
Syria
you
was more of an internal rising where you had ISIS or you had the other groups which are
correct.
basically non-state actors जिसको आप रोक नहीं सकते हो.
So that is why I'm saying the wars may transform themselves in future. So I'm just saying
Yes,
as a possibility we should be prepared. Earlier हम बात करते थे ना कि 30 दिन
हाँ
की
हाँ,
हमारी
कोई
सीमा है
शक
ये.
नहीं है.
I think वो जो 30 दिन और 10 दिन वाला जो concept
No,
है that should be reviewed. It may not be 30 दिन, it may be 40 days, 50 days,
correct,
60 days. So we should be
absolutely.
prepared for that. So we'll
And
come to
then,
you in the yeah,
हाँ,
go ahead. Sorry.
when you look at the international relations, जब तक आपके relations are sound, our
Yeah.
relations with Russia are equally sound, our relations with the West are sound. We are building up, and one thing we have to remember: the Indian policy of management of defense has been different. जब भी हमने equipment लिया है, we first ensured we get stocks of spares to cater for our war wastage reserves before we import the main equipment. ये पॉलिसी बहुत देशों ने नहीं किया है. But this, which has been our policy for a long time, has ensured sustainability of equipment despite shortfall of spares from Russia today, because we were holding adequate stocks of what we needed as spares. और ये policy रुकेगी नहीं. This is a policy that's going to continue. And that's
Uh,
something with the Western stocks, with now looking at Atmanirbhar, with now looking at assembly and manufacture in India, I don't think we will face it again.
Right, sir. I think we will come to you in the second round with more specifically about the international relations, and we'll seek your views basically on the fact that this strategic autonomy का जो approach है हमारा ये आगे और कितना चलेगा, कितना हम इसमें changes लाएंगे और will we be forced to make some changes? That a little bit of crystal gazing we will do in the second round. I'm coming to Mr. Maheshwari, sir. Welcome to the show. My next question now relates to internal security because we discussed the external security based on our military capabilities. But वो पुरानी कहावत है ना कि अगर अंदर ही हम ठीक नहीं रहेंगे तो बाहर को हम क्या ठीक कर सकेंगे. हमारी जो internal security, we have a lot of problems, we have challenges, and these challenges are not of today or not of few decades back. ये challenges हमारे in our country is facing right from the time of independence. So do you think internal security जो है हमारी इसमें कुछ improvement हुआ है या फिर और improvement करने की जरूरत है या हमारा जो approach है, the approach which we have towards internal security, do we need to modify it, do we need to reorganize our entire structure for internal security या फिर उसी तरह से चलते रहें कि भाई आर्मी भी लड़ेगी, असम राइफल भी लड़ रही है, तो आरआर भी लड़ रही है. एक तरह से हमने देखा है कि कई सारे फोर्सेस हैं, इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी को देखभाल कर रहे हैं, पुलिस भी लड़ रही है. उसका एक नतीजा आपने मणिपुर में भी देखा कि मणिपुर पुलिस और बाकियों के बीच में कोऑर्डिनेशन नहीं हो रहा था. तो इस पे थोड़ा-सा वी वुड लाइक योर व्यूज सर ऑन दिस इश्यू एंड challenges which we have of internal security and also the way ahead in the sense, do you think some improvements are required? Over to you, Mr. Maheshwari.
थैंक यू सो मच. आज गणतंत्र दिवस है तो सबसे पहले मातृभूमि को नमन और शहीदों को का वंदन. उसके बाद मैं अपनी बात शुरू करता हूँ. आई पिक अप फ्रॉम जनरल कक्कड़'s statement is that we are living in a global commune. So we have to understand the external environment as well as the internal environment. Now, we are very much, because of this global integration, we are very much affected by the global position also. And if I recall what the Prime Minister said in the G20, the three things he focused upon was the long-term sustainable goals. Then he focused on terrorism, and also he focused on the climate change. Now, why am I mentioning? Because all these going to have an implication. Now, the way we take a geopolitical position, that affects the internal security, because we are also in a proxy war situation. Where if that we are in a proxy war situation, so what type of posture we take in the international relations, that also has an implication. The diplomacy has to play a role, because we are more also dependent upon the standards of the international policing, the regional policing cooperations, what we have to look into, because of the terror elements which have been operating from outside the country. At the same time, lot of funding which is coming, lot of funding which disturbs the internal security. It may come through the shell companies in forms of investments or donations, despite the fact that through IoT and whatever the chips Dr. General Kakkar was talking about, chip technology in IoT, all those dangers given. But we have to scan what all funds are flowing in, whether in a stock exchange or investment, in what sectors the investments are coming, and what type of and you may be surprised that they directly don't come from one company. They move across 9, 10 countries, and then they come through multiple corporations, and everything has to be watched. Similarly, lots of trafficking, right from human trafficking to drug trafficking to armed trafficking, these are taking place. So these are the international, environmental things which are happening, but they also affect the internal security. When it comes to internal security, then the borders, the air border, the land border, and the water borders, these are all coastal borders. They all also have their implication in many respects. And when you mentioned about the Manipur, it is not only that internal problem, but then there are so many groups operating there, and certain countries who are interested in having intrusion and disturbance in that area. Similarly, we talk of the J&K border. So these things are there. But since independence, we have come a long way. We have come a long way that the internal vulnerabilities have been bridged to a great extent. Now we have empowered the women to a great extent. The marginalized segments have also been empowered so much, so the vulnerabilities have come to a reduced level. But at the same time, there are so many problems still existing. Now, another factor which I would like to harp on, and the way I explained it, that initially when the tribal societies were there, we relied on physical force. Then we moved on to weaponry, political controls, the economic controls, the technology, data, and then the cognitive. Now, because of the cognitive controls, the type of radicalization which is taking place on cyber platforms from across the globe, that is also causing a problem on the internal security grid. Now, I'm just drawing an attention that when we are analyzing the internal security, then these are the different things which are happening on the internal security front. Insofar as the modernization of the police forces is concerned, the many couple of states have advanced their police forces to a great extent. Even the government of India is running modernization programs. So we have improved upon the modernization of police forces, but it is still far behind. The great contribution of the police forces is to handle the civic society terrain. And during the proxy war situation, the civil society turf has become very important. What are the elements who are coming and settling there in terms of sleeper cells, what type of movements taking place. So here I must tell you that the type of trust which should be there between police agencies and the citizens, it is still a matter of concern for us, and we have not reached the ideal condition. The police behavior and the trust gap, this is one of the challenge which is still existing, because the adversaries will keep doing what they are good at, but we have to see that internally. So the type of thing, because the resources which are available with the community, we are not able to use it. Now, I'll give you an example of one of the surveys which was conducted, that on the cyber security and the cyber crime investigation. The survey says that 30%, only 30% of the cops knew exactly how the cyber crimes are taking place, and out of 30%, only 30% knew how to exactly collect the evidence. Because the basic core strength of civil police is the investigation. And it is out of the investigation that many facts come out, and we unearth. If you might see that even the human trafficking cases, drug trafficking cases, and the terror funding in various ways, even now the ED is also doing various types of investigations. The investigation is a very powerful tool. So that expertise, so that is one area where we must develop our capabilities. And here, the civic society has a lot of resources in terms of expertise. And the Prime Minister even said once, and I like that idea, that we should have interns from the colleges and schools with the police stations. We'll also find new ways of horizontal integration of these experts, because whatever is happening in life today, there's so many experts are needed. When any incident takes place, it has got a financial implication, it has got a cyber implication. You need a cyber expert, you need a financial expert, you need a forensic expert. So a lot of this is being done to develop the forensic science capability, because that brings the exact evidence against the culprit. At the same time, many things are happening because the judicial process is taking time. And now we are happy that even the integrated, comprehensive judicial system is coming up, where everything will be integrated. But it is I mean, it will take some time before it can come. So these are the things, they have implications on the internal security. Another thing is the type of one thing which is there, that and I also brought it out in my earlier discussions, and that is regarding the coordination between the central government and the federal governments. That is one area that is also creating problems at time, and that is something to be done. That having come to the power, we should work on a, professional platforms, and keep aside our political differences. That is one area which this country has to achieve the political maturity. The way to coming to the power, you may have, one may have, but having come to that, then the principles of the public administration should be followed. So these are the some of the points which are coming to my mind straight away. And one thing is that because of the political narratives and the social narratives and the various types of radicalization thoughts, no fracturing in the community should come. There may be difference of opinion, and it takes us back. It takes us back to the statement that only those who know how to merge will eventually re-emerge. So that type of merger in the civic society, and if there are any fractures in that, that is a matter of concern. And all of us know about various incidents which have been taking place in the country, where whether on the basis of the caste, basis of the religion, there have been some sort of a misunderstanding, and there's some sort of a politicking. But this should not result into such type of, therefore the democracy has yet to mature to that extent that things will keep happening. So our intelligence agencies, the police agencies, have to really keep a watch on those elements who are leading such type of uh, politics, which leads to fracturing of the human terrain of the country. That still remains a matter of concern. So, and few things, as I said, the climate change, new types of conflicts are coming because of the environmental crimes and the climate change, even the basic elements, the water
We'll discuss.
disputes, and because of the bad air, many disputes are coming up. So I leave it at
We'll
that for
discuss.
future discussion, and
Yeah.
I hand it over to
We,
you at this stage. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. In fact, it's good that you highlighted two major issues: that social fabric. Unless and until our social fabric is strong, we are likely to continue to have these internal differences, and which will in turn lead to internal security situations. And for that, we have to mature as a democracy. I think उसमें अभी वक्त लगेगा, इसीलिए मैंने ये सब्जेक्ट रखा है हम लोगों ने कि ये सच्ची आज़ादी कब मिलेगी। जब सच्ची आज़ादी हमें तब मिलेगी जब हम जात पात रिलीजन और इन सब चीज़ों से ऊपर उठ करके एक भारतीय की तरह सोचेंगे, तब हमारे को ऑटोमेटिकली इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी का जो स्ट्रेंथ चाहिए वो मिलेगी। कहते हैं कि सिक्योरिटी जो है वो जितनी गन्स स्ट्रीट पे कम दिखें, उतना ही वो देश जो है इंटरनली सिक्योर होता है। तो अगर हम अपनी गन्स के साथ सिक्योरिटी इंश्योर कर रहे हैं तो आई डोंट थिंक वी आर ट्रूली इंडिपेंडेंट। सो आई आल्सो realize the kind of improvement which you have suggested in terms of modernization, center state relations, etc. Second round mein sir, we will come and discuss this a little more. I am first taking the opening comments of everybody else. So welcome Jan Chaturvedi sir to the show. I'll take you
Sorry,
on.
sorry for being late. I missed it totally. I'm sorry.
I wanted to open the thing with you because everything starts with the mullah. You know, सारी की
Yes.
सारी जो चीजें होती हैं वो मुल्ला से शुरू होती हैं.
I'm sorry. Sorry for that. Sorry for that.
But doesn't
My
matter.
apologies. My
Doesn't
apologies.
matter. Doesn't matter sir. GDP हमारी हो गई है 3.7 ट्रिलियन, 4 ट्रिलियन के करीब आ गई है. बट क्या देख रहे हैं हम? पर कैपिटा अराउंड 5,000 के करीब है. 11,000 पे हम बोल सकते हैं कि वी आर अ विकसित देश या डेवलप्ड नेशन. टारगेट इज
नहीं,
2047.
पीपीपी टर्म्स में थोड़ी ज्यादा है. पीपी टर्म्स में करीब
अभी
$9,000 अगर हम गिने, जो कि
बिल्कुल
पीपीपी
सर.
टर्म्स में है, तो
हाँ, सो
9,672 करीब 72,000. वही मतलब
आपकी बात
7-8
बिल्कुल
हजार पर. हाँ, that's एवरेज.
आपकी बात से मैं
I mean,
बिल्कुल सहमत हूँ.
range is little wider. Some states have got lower. Say Bihar or Uttar Pradesh have got lower, but say Chhattisgarh or Jharkhand will have higher. That's a kind of a thing.
Absolutely, that is true, sir. State by state, if you go by the fact that there would be Gujarat और भी आगे होगा, Bombay और भी
Gujarat
आगे होगा.
is further ahead. Maharashtra is quite high.
बिल्कुल. So लेकिन हम बात कर
And
रहे हैं
say UT of say Ladakh or say UT of J&K will have very high because of the high or even Goa will have very high because of the forest foreigners.
So I want to basically you're right sir. पीपीपी टर्म्स में तो हम डेफिनेटली बहुत आगे हैं. जो लेकिन एक नॉमिनल टर्म में एक एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी एक्सेप्ट हुई है वर्ल्ड ओवर में. और इसीलिए आपने देखा होगा कि चाइना को अब डिक्लेयर किया गया है डेवलप्ड नेशन बिकॉज देयर जी नॉमिनल टर्म हैज गॉन टू $11,000+. तो एक
Yes.
11,000 डॉलर एक वो मापदंड हो गया है कि भाई आप डेवलप्ड नेशन है, उसके नीचे तो डेवलपिंग नेशन
We have
है.
a long way to go. We have a long way to go.
We have a long way to go if you have to achieve that.
In fact, Dushyant, what is a little matter of little concern in this case is the while our GDP is rising and rising quite well, but it is getting concentrated in 0.1% of the higher of the society. So therefore, the gap between haves and have-nots is not reducing. That is the unfortunate part. So that needs to be bridged as early as possible. And to my mind, for that, one of the sectors which need to improve substantially is agriculture, because that is where the problem lies. Where large number of there's a labor force versus GDP contribution is quite skewed in agriculture, where just 15% of GDP it is being contributed by agriculture, and about 45% plus is the labor force, whereas 60% services are contributing and only 30% manpower is there. That's the issue. So that is where probably we will have to work. Our economy will have to work in such a way so that this issue is addressed. And that is where, to my mind, जो फॉर्म बिल थे तीनों वो काफी अच्छे थे, but there are certain issues on which probably nobody has control or nobody wants to have control, and that is how otherwise if once they get introduced, agriculture would have got better boost. My take.
Right sir. In fact we wanted your views basically on this issue कि ठीक है and I want you to highlight those issues कि ठीक है हमारी जीडीपी अच्छी ग्रो कर रही है, लेकिन जो हमारे जो बाकी पैरामीटर्स हैं उनको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए इकोनॉमिक पैरामीटर्स की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, उनको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए हमें क्या करना चाहिए. व्हाट वी शुड डू इज व्हाट वी नीड टू फोकस ऑन. फॉर एग्जांपल मैं बोल रहा हूँ जैसे जो हेल्थ इंडिकेटर्स हो गए, एजुकेशन इंडिकेटर्स हो गए, जो हमारे जो पर कैपिटा इंडिकेटर हो गया है, ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स हो गया. तो ये सारी जो एरियाज हैं जिसको कि आपने कहा कि अनइक्वल इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ की वजह से ये हो रहा है, एंड सो व्हाट डू वी नीड टू डू देयर सो दैट वी
Actually,
achieve this true
I
independence as
understood
what.
the point, Dushyant, which I would like to say is to reassure first place the
Yes.
entire our audience that all these sectors probably have already been identified well, and they are work in progress. From 600 to 1300 medical colleges shows that in medical stream we are improving. From 7 to 16 IITs, again it is showing that if IITs, likewise NITs are increasing, other engineering colleges are increasing. But this capacity building takes time. This is another issue which is very important, which we need to take into account. And third is that this is where the urge for excellence comes, because today engineering is unlike medical, is such that it needs, once engineering graduate comes out, he is not industry ready. So this academia industrial integration, a better academia industry integration will help preparing engineering graduates, management graduates who will be ready for the industry. Like medical, the system is such that hospital is attached to, from third year onwards he starts working on hospital. So by the time he finishes his internship, he is fully in the know of medical issues. Now, in this case, there's another reason is that unless this infrastructure facilities across the board are improved, things will not improve. You look at just I'll give you two examples, so small examples. One is agriculture is 8 months activity, and as I said, that it has got highly labor intensive, but our productivity is not as high as some other countries. Even as compared to China, our productivity is lower. The reason is that skilling is not there. Now, in case if we start creating infrastructures in villages, which is capacity building, roads, health, education, all these things from village itself we start, and certain industry close to say rural areas, and rural areas itself, that is where probably Gandhian model when he introduced was quite good, and government is working on those kind of things. So if those are the kind of things started, then probably people will not leave rural areas. What happens from there? They come to say urban areas, and they are not skilled, so they can only बोरी उठाने का काम कर सकते हैं. लेकिन
बिल्कुल.
कितने बोरी उठाने वाले को? You need in industry, an industry which is becoming quietly टेक्नोलॉजी ड्रिवन. अभी उसको जब तक कि वो इसमें हम लोग स्किल इंडिया मिशन एक हमारा बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया है, विश्वकर्मा मिशन विच हैज बीन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड, एंड दैट इज वेयर दिस इज वेयर द ओडीओपी इश्यूज कम. So my suggestion is that we need to work in all these areas in which we have started. Then only we will be able to see a marked improvement in next 4 to 5 years. But elephant in the room is that two. One is energy. Now,
Right.
in case of energy, when we talk of energy, Government of India has taken note of water issue. So they went for that Amrit Sarovar concept and every village to have. And today morning when I was hearing to Prime Minister that 55,000 they wanted to construct Amrit Sarovar, but then they have been able to done much more than that. So that will be water reservoir capacity will improve. It will attenuate certain climate change also. But energy is what I call TQQ syndrome. What technology we have, so petroleum driven from end to end technology we have. We have, say, pressurized heavy water reactor based nuclear technology, fully we have. But do we have the entire quality and the quantity of stuff? No, we don't have. We don't have adequate petroleum. We don't have adequate uranium. We don't have adequate hardware support. So this is where the this kind of a thing comes. So once we say that we will go heavily into solar energy, we have gone. We have gone. What we are supposed to do by 2030, we have already achieved that 450 gigawatt. But problem here comes that do we have industrial capacity to produce so many solar panels?
Yes.
And so those are the kind of things which will have to simultaneously be addressed. And that is where the labor laws, government policies, industrial policies, PLI scheme more and more. And these are the things which will have to be done more actively. And then only we will be able to address these two areas. So energy is one more area. And one, international cooperation. Like we have got this
Sir, so
G4
we'll come to international cooperation in the second round, sir.
No, in this kind of a, it's a what say initial comment only. I just wanted to make one that
Yeah.
in case if you want this international cooperation, the kind of technology which will come, we will have to prepare our people. In our case, our say, structure of capacity is such today that it is inverted code. So more engineering colleges, less ITI. So skilled labor will have to be improved to absorb that kind of a technology with G414 or Safran or some such technologies will bring. Because if MROs have to be created, our own people should be ready to take on that kind of a task. So we must start working on those kind of a things. That's another area which I feel.
Thank you, sir. In fact, I was going to ask you that question in the next round कि सब कुछ तो हम ठीक रास्ते पे चल रहे हैं, लेकिन क्वालिटी एक ऐसी चीज है जिस पर कि हमको भी फोकस करना जरूरी है. Unless our deliverables are good and acceptable at the international standards, I think economic progress will be that much slower. So the more we focus on
One
that,
more element in room we must take into account is this climate change, which Mr. Maheshwari had
which I
say
will be
alluded
asking,
to.
which I'll be
Acha.
asking you in the second round, sir, that because everything is interconnected with climate change now. Even internal security actually has an impact on climate change.
Absolutely.
That is the
Absolutely.
level of, and also international relations, because that is one area which will make up our shortcomings and deficiencies. So whatever we lack internally, it is the international relations by which we should be able to make up our deficiencies and capability gaps, etc. Sir, coming on to our next guest today, sir. Welcome, sir, Major AK Singh, sir, for this particular show. And
Thank you.
आपके बारे में मुझे सिर्फ एक ही लाइन याद आती है. मुझे आपके जो सह 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 कलीग हैं, उन्होंने बताया था कि हाथ पैर में दम दम नहीं, फिर भी हम किसी से कम नहीं. Gentlemen, audience, I would like to tell you, Major AK Singh is a hero in his own rights. He's one person who has sailed the entire globe in his Krishna, the craft, the sea craft which he had. So you are going to listen to something very original, sir. I would like you to focus. मैं आपको फोकस करने की रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा उन सब चीजों पे, क्योंकि ये देखा गया है कि इकोनॉमी हो गई, मिलिट्री कैपेबिलिटी हो गई, इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी कैपेबिलिटी हो गई, कोई भी चीज अगर हम ले लें, क्लाइमेट चेंज की ही अगर हम इनिशिएटिव की बात करें जिसमें स्वच्छता वगैरह शामिल होता है, हर जगह हमें एक चीज की जरूरत, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और चैट जीपीटी नॉट विथस्टैंडिंग, एक चीज की जो जरूरत होती है हमको, वो है ह्यूमन कैपेबिलिटी या ह्यूमन वेल बीइंग. कि हमारी जो शक्ति है, पौरुष जो है हमारा, हमारे देश का जो पौरुष है, वो कैसा है. मुझे नहीं लगता कि हमारे देश का पौरुष उस लेवल पर पहुंचा है जिस लेवल पर हम अपनी ये जो जितने भी इनिशिएटिव्स हैं उनको आगे ले जाएं एक सस्टेन्ड तरीके से, एक बैलेंस्ड तरीके से, एक जुडिशियस तरीके से. तो आपके विचार किस तरह से हम, हाउ कैन वी रियली इम्प्रूव आर पौरुषता जिसको बोलते हैं, पौरुष, हम अपना अपने देश का पौरुष से मेरा मतलब खाली मैं से नहीं है, इट इज फॉर एवरीबॉडी, मैन वुमन चिल्ड्रन, हर लेवल पर. हाउ डू वी गो अहेड विथ आर improving our human capability, human development? Over to you, sir.
General Dushyant, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Strength 5.
Very kind of you. You've said very kind words. आपने मेरे बारे में बहुत ही kind words बोले हैं. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका. मैं भी इसी चीज़ पे सोच रहा था कि हम लोग टेक्नोलॉजी, डिफेंस और एजुकेशन एंड सो मेनी पैरामीटर्स जो हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी भी डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, लेकिन जब तक हम इस सब चीज़ को एक कोहेसिव होल में नहीं बांध लेते, तब तक overall strength of a nation is just as strong as the strength of its social fabric. महेश्वरी जी ने भी ये social fabric के बारे में कुछ कहा था, which was very, very pertinent. So our social fabric has to be strong and cohesive. It is well known that while we are excellent individuals, we are not very good as when we are collective as a society. We tend to pull in different directions. I think a great amount of effort is needed कि हम लोग अपने सोसाइटी को थोड़ा नेशनलिस्टिक दिशा दें। और खैर चर्चिल ने कहा था कि इंडिया विल बी ब्रोकन into small balkanized very soon, which of course has turned out to be a figment of his sick imagination. We are doing very well. 76 साल हमको आज़ादी के हो गए, and we are moving from crest to crest in every parameter. लेकिन अब समय शायद आ गया है कि जब हम अपने पूरे सोशल फैब्रिक को, हमारे जितने इंडिविजुअल्स हैं, सबको एक कम से कम एक नेशनलिस्टिक दिशा हर एक के जहन में लाएं और उसका इम्पोर्टेंस उसको सब लोगों को एहसास हो। एक चीज जो बहुत बैकस्टेज ले लिया है, दैट इज द सोशल स्टडीज या सोशल डेवलपमेंट या सोशल engineering में everybody is going for as at individual level, जितने लोग हैं सब के सब individual achievement level पे जा रहे हैं, engineering, doctor, medicine and also great achievements at individual level. लेकिन जो हम लोग social level है, how to improve our society as such, उस पर हम लोग शायद कुछ कम ध्यान दे रहे हैं। जो हाल हमारे हर एक इंडिविजुअल स्टेट्स का है, कई बड़े फेमस स्टेट्स हैं जिनमें इंडिविजुअल्स आर डूइंग वेरी वेरी वेल. बिहार इज वन such example where individuals do tremendously well, but then we find that collectively the state is definitely not amongst our well performing states or top performing states at the moment, which is a paradox. To some extent it is true even for the country as a whole. हम लोग बहुत अपने आप को प्राउड फील करते हैं कि हमारे ग्लोबल सीईओ जितने ज्यादा हैं, ऑल द नाउ मेनी top companies in the world are headed by CEOs of what we proudly say Indian origin. लेकिन जब आती है बात हमारे सोशल फैब्रिक की एट ग्रास रूट लेवल हमारी सोसाइटी में, तो हम देखते हैं कि हमारे पैरामीटर्स मैच अप नहीं करते. टू ग्रेट एक्सटेंट वी फेल. इसके एक तो जो मैंने बताया कि द स्ट्रेस ऑन सोशल एजुकेशन एट स्कूल लेवल, पहले हमारे एक सब्जेक्ट होता था मॉरल साइंस. चलिए मॉरल साइंस भी थोड़ा बैक सीट पे आ गया है, एंड सोशल साइंसेस पे भी वी आर नॉट एट ऑल taking. Of course, we've got great institutions like Tata Institute of Social Sciences, but to create greatness is one thing. Apex greatness is one thing. To create a large-scale mass understanding of the and cohesion in the whole thing in the society as such, to create basically good human beings, not just good performing human beings, but good human beings is another thing. I feel that we also, to a great extent, many of the developed countries have gone through a form of revolution in their evolution to the present state. Democracy has come to them in a hard way by some form of revolutions. Now, whatever we may say, हमारे यहाँ any level of revolution तो शायद नहीं आया है. Revolution अनडिजायरेबल एज इट मे बी, उसमें ये देखा गया कि रेवोल्यूशन इक्वलाइज्ड एवरीबॉडी। जो फ्यूडल माइंडसेट्स थे वो चेंज हो गए दुनिया भर में, पूरे यूरोप में, रशिया में, चाइना में। फ्यूडल माइंडसेट्स चेंज्ड मोस्टली बाय रेवोल्यूशन, when everybody became equal, not just deemed equal but equal. कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स हम लोगों को रोज देखने को मिलते हैं लेकिन हम उनको इग्नोर कर देते हैं। एक बड़ा सिंपल एग्जाम्पल जो मैं लगभग सब जगह देता हूँ वो ये है कि हमारे यहाँ अब भी जो गंदा करता है सड़क पे या स्ट्रीट पे या पब्लिक में या कहीं भी, इवन ऑफिस में, आई में से हु कीप्स द कप एंड थ्रोज इट, और अभी तो स्पिटिंग एकदम कम हो गई, आई थिंक थैंक्स अ लॉट टू कोरोना एज ऑल्सो टू लॉट ऑफ सोशल यू कैन से a lot of contribution by Mr. Modi also on this, but let's not make things dirty. But जो ये सब करता है, कोई चीज कागज फेंकता है, कुछ करता है कहीं, वो बड़ा आदमी होता है, और जो उसे साफ करता है, हमारे देश में जो साफ करने वाला होता है, वो हमारे समाज का सबसे छोटा आदमी होता है। हमारे हाथ नेचुरली जाके किसी चीज को साफ करने के लिए नहीं मिलते। सिमिलरली वी गो टू, आई वुड नॉट लाइक टू गो इनटू any ethnic sort of examples of this, but even trying to have people be equal to everybody in places of any social place or even places of worship, we find that we are not yet prepared to have everybody as equal. We're still struggling for that. To a great extent, of course, inequality has been spread by this, that is a different kind of equality. It has been spread by the vote bank politics over the last 70, 75, 76 years. That is a different kind of inequality. But ये जो social inequality है, this has to go, this has to be removed from society if we want to make a great nation, sustainably great nation, not parametric wise great nation कि हमारी इंडस्ट्री बहुत अच्छी कर रही है, हमारी इकोनॉमी बहुत अच्छी कर रही है, हमारी डिफेंस एंड मिलिट्री अच्छी कर रही है, हमारी साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी अच्छी कर रही है. Unless we bind it up into a cohesive whole, we will only then be able to make a nation that is to be sustained over centuries. I mean, it's time we thought of being able to sustain ourselves and become a great nation over the coming centuries, not just for 5 years, 10 years, and parameters like that. That is what my particular feeling is on this. No nation can be great unless its individual, unitary person is strong.
Absolutely.
We can create strengths, points of strength by administration, by leadership, and by engineering points of strength in science and medicine and things like that. But unless across the board, and India has a vast population still coming up from the catchment area is just too vast. वो अभी एजुकेशन लेवल, बेसिक एजुकेशन पे ही पहुंच रहे हैं. अब बेसिक एजुकेशन पे पहुंचेंगे, उनको अभी इसी समय से अगर हम सोशल इंजीनियरिंग नहीं करेंगे, उनको कोहेसिव टुगेदरनेस, कोहेसिव स्ट्रेंथ में नहीं लाएंगे, तो ये divisive forces, divisive strengths, even divisive feelings. It's not necessarily that all the divisive feelings and divisive forces are external, but selfishness has a lot to do with it. Unless we glean people away from thinking non-selfish, but thinking collective. We have found that we are great at individual thinking, but we are not very great at thinking as a collective people as such. Now, that is something which we need to think about. And we need to work towards it at a national level, and we need to think of socially engineering this to make Indians as Indians. ये well known है that ये well known clique है कि we are let us say हम मद्रासी हैं, हम बिहारी हैं, हम पंजाबी हैं, हम उत्तर प्रदेश के हैं, but हम कहते हैं तुम कहाँ के हो रहे, हम बलिया के हैं. लेकिन are we Indians? I mean, that thing must come in us that we are Indians, and we should feel that we are wanting to contribute to being proud Indians and making India great over a sustainable time. That is my view on this.
Thank you, sir. In fact, in the end, the summing up kind of a thing has been done by you कि जब तक हम भारतीय नहीं होंगे, तब तक हम सच्ची आज़ादी नहीं पाएंगे. और आपकी जो स्ट्रेंथ है, वो आपकी वीकेस्ट लिंक जो है, वो आपकी अल्टीमेट स्ट्रेंथ होती है. अगर वो टूट गई, तो आपका देश टूट जाएगा. और इसके बारे में जो हमारी वीकेस्ट लिंक्स के बारे में है, चर्चिल ने बोला ज़रूर था, बट मैं मानता हूँ कि चर्चिल को बार-बार बोलना चाहिए ताकि हमें याद आए कि हमारी जो कमजोरियाँ हैं, उनको हम अपने ऊपर हावी नहीं होने देना चाहिए। Sir, next round to all of you, and I will put it up in a one single question so that everybody addresses जिसको भी जो मैंने पहले पहले राउंड में क्वेश्चन पूछा था उसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए दें। अमृतकाल की शुरुआत कर दी गई है as per the announcement by the government of that the next next few to 30 years is going to be अमृत काल जिसमें कि हम एक विकसित देश की तरफ बढ़ेंगे। तो in your view, I'm coming now to Janal Kakar, sir. In your view, in the Amrit Kal, how do we position ourselves both in terms of international, and now I'll request you to focus on international relations, what is good for a strategic autonomy, multipolar world or a bipolar world or a unipolar world, a little bit of your expertise which you have been writing for so long. In the Amrit Kal, how do we go ahead in international relations? Over to you, Jan Kakar.
Most important, we're looking at a multipolar world, which is where we are moving into, which is the reality. When you look at a multipolar world, you're looking at relations, good relations with all. A small example of the way we are moving into the multipolar world. Russia got out of the grain deal, it faced global criticism. उसके 3 दिन बाद India stopped the export of non-basmati rice. We control 40% of the global rice market. Was there a whimper? Was there any major criticism that India's restrictions are going to lead to a global shortfall? No. Because when we placed the block, हमने एक rider खुला छोड़ा on a case-by-case basis, which means we will look after the nation, those countries that really need help. Now, this is a changing India, the India that the world looks at. If Jaishankar could go down to Tanzania and set the ball rolling for an IIM there, and just before that in Uganda, open the National Forensic University's branch, India is today moving fast. India is today the voice that the world wants to hear. The third world looks at us. So India is now getting to be a nation which is the center of attention, whether you're looking at the superpowers, whether you're looking at the developed world, whether you're looking at a world in Africa which is looking to come out of poverty. India is not only a beacon of hope, India is an example. So when you look at it, you take multipolarity, take anywhere, but the Prime Minister said this morning, we are the voice of the global South. We really are. We are a nation that everyone looks at. So when we look at the future, you're looking at an India which will lead its own group of nations, which nobody can afford to put aside. A thought-provoking view came out from the recent Taiwan interaction where the three ex-service chiefs were there, where it said that India can lead the global South into ensuring pressure on both sides to cool off. And that is where we stand today. So when you're looking at the next 25 to 30 years, I think you will see a far more powerful, brighter, and a far more India which is desired by the world to lead the world forward.
Thank you very much, sir. I think you put it in so nicely. India's voice will be heard in the future, but why it is being heard in the future, that is something which is very important, which you brought out. कि policy policy uniform नहीं होगी, policy discretional होगी, policy में किसको जरूरत है किसको नहीं जरूरत है उसका ध्यान दिया जाएगा। and यही मेरे ख्याल से when we say world is one, वासुदेव कुटुंबकम का मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम अपने दुश्मन को छोड़ देंगे, बट इसका ये भी मतलब नहीं है कि हम अपने दोस्त को छोड़ देंगे। तो कहीं न कहीं हम अपने दोस्तों के साथ रहेंगे, दुनिया के साथ रहेंगे, लेकिन दुश्मनों को उसकी जगह ज़रूर दिखाएँगे। I think wonderfully said, sir. Thank you very much for that. I am now coming to Mr. Maheshwari, sir. The question to you now, sir, in your first round, you did highlight the various problems which we are facing. But in the अमृत काल, किस तरह से हम विंस्टन चर्चिल को गलत प्रूव करें, उसके ऊपर अगर आप थोड़ा-सा elaborate करेंगे what should be our internal security policy, and also I would like you to answer one question जो ये मेरा personal question है, इसलिए मैं चाहूंगा कि इसको भी आप 5 मिनट 5 मिनट तो नहीं, सॉरी 1 मिनट इस पे जरूर वो करें। क्या हमें इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी के जो फोर्सेस हैं उनको रीऑर्गेनाइज करके एक फोर्स बनाने की जरूरत, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग ऑफ द बॉर्डर गार्डिंग फोर्सेस, कीप द बॉर्डर गार्डिंग फोर्सेस सेपरेटली, बट द अदर वंस, is there a need to make them as one single cohesive unit, because ये आपस में फोर्स रेवलरीज भी कई बार हमको मुसीबत में पहुंचा देती हैं। तो इसके ऊपर भी थोड़ा सा वो करिएगा, एंड बाकी अमृत काल में किस तरह से हम इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी को आगे बढ़ाएं उसके ऊपर वी वुड लाइक टू हैव योर व्यूज सर, ओवर टू यू।
जो मैं महसूस करता हूं कि हमको कोलैबोरेटिव कम्युनिटी पुलिसिंग मॉडल्स विद इनोवेटिव बेंट ऑफ माइंड लाने पड़ेंगे। We have to come out of our traditional silos and involve community more and more in policing itself, because internal security में जिस तरह की problems अब आ रही हैं उसमें without social cooperation and giving them, integrating them as a part of policing system, और ये कोई हम लोगों ने नई चीज नहीं की है। जब 1962 में भी जब वॉर हुआ था तब बॉर्डर में काफी पॉपुलेशन को तैयार किया गया था, विच बाद में जाकर के एसएसबी में कन्वर्ट हुए। तो दीज आर द वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग एंड वर्केबल मॉडल्स। और सोसाइटी के पास, जैसे मैंने कहा कि बहुत से रिसोर्सेज हैं, दे आर एक्सपर्ट्स अवेलेबल इन सोसाइटी। गवर्नमेंट सिस्टम को चेंज करने में बड़ा टाइम लगता है, तो कोलैबोरेटिव कम्युनिटी पुलिसिंग मॉडल्स से हम काफी कुछ बेहतर कर सकते हैं। नंबर 2, हमारा जो क्रिमिनल जस्टिस का इकोसिस्टम है वो फास्ट होना चाहिए। जो हमने काफी कुछ तो लॉज रिपील किए, नए लॉज आए हैं, थोड़ा और उसको इम्प्रूव कर दें। इन्वेस्टिगेशन पावर ऑफ पुलिस बढ़ा दी जाए इन टर्म्स ऑफ कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग, तो और फिर फॉरेंसिक्स को अडॉप्ट करके, क्योंकि उसमें एविडेंस बिल्कुल एग्जैक्ट होता है, साइंटिफिक होता है, प्रूवेबल है, और क्विक ट्रायल्स एंड जस्टिस हो जाए। तो जो फियर ऑफ लॉ है, क्योंकि आप देखिए ऐसा नहीं कि वी इंडियंस आर गुड एट एवरीथिंग, यहाँ से भी प्लेन में बैठ के जाते हैं और जैसे ही दुबई में अमेरिका में उतरते हैं तो कोई आदमी लिटरिंग नहीं करता, कोई, एवरीबडी बिहेव्स। और जब उधर से लौट के आते हैं वहां से, तो वो प्लेन में हलचल से ऐसे मालूम देता है कि इंडिया वापस जा रहे हैं। दिस इज आवर टिपिकल बिहेवियर। तो एक अगर हमारे क्रिमिनल जस्टिस सिस्टम का इकोसिस्टम पे अगर हम हाफ ऑन कर ले एंड पीपल रियलाइज दैट दे विल नॉट गो अनएस्केप, तो बिकॉज वही बंदा यहाँ पर बिहेव करता है और बाहर 1 घंटे में 2 घंटे में फ्लाइट पहुंचती है दुबई, he behaves very well. I mean, I'm just this is my observation. तो क्रिमिनल जस्टिस इकोसिस्टम को हम इम्प्रूव कर लें और उसको बेटर कर लें। एक हमारी जो डिफरेंट वल्नरेबिलिटीज है उसको हम लोग आइडेंटिफाई कर लें, so it may be more evidence based policing rather than जो हम लोग अभी पुलिसिंग करते हैं based on the personal assessment. It should be more evidence based. तो जितनी तरह की वल्नरेबिलिटीज की हम बात करते हैं वो अपने आप मिटिगेट होंगी या हमारा फोकस वहां पर चला जाएगा। जहां तक आपने पुलिसिंग सिस्टम्स की बात की है, ये बहुत एज ओल्ड डिबेट चली आ रही है कि पुलिस इज ए स्टेट सब्जेक्ट। अगर वो स्टेट सब्जेक्ट में भी ना हो, अगर हम नेक्स्ट उसमें उसको कंटेंट लिस्ट में भी ले आते हैं तो काफी हद तक ये संभव होगा कि पुलिस प्रोफेशनलिज्म की जो हम बात कर रहे हैं वो एकीकृत हो जाएगा। और हमने अभी इसको इनडायरेक्टली करने की कोशिश की है, बिकॉज वो स्टेट सब्जेक्ट है तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने एनआईए बना दिया, एनआईए करके हम एटलीस्ट टेरर रिलेटेड इन्वेस्टिगेशंस को ले लेते हैं। ऐसे ही कई एजेंसी बन गई हैं जो कि फाइनेंशियल फंडिंग को इन्वेस्टिगेट करती हैं। तो इस तरह के स्टेप सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को उठाने पड़े अंडर एक्सेप्शनल सर्कमस्टांसेस, और वो कोशिश की है। तो अब टाइम आ गया है कि हम उस माइंडसेट से निकले, कम से कम इसको कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट में ले आए और उसमें सब स्टेट्स की सहमति करके हम यूनिफाइड एजेंसीज क्रिएट करें। ये बहुत जरूरी है। अभी जैसे एसटीएफ क्रिएट की, एटीएस क्रिएट की, तो एसटीएफ एटीएस की मीटिंग्स एमएचए करता है, कोऑर्डिनेट करता है, वो लोग प्रोफेशनलिज्म लेके आते हैं, एक्सचेंज ऑफ एविडेंस करते हैं, लेकिन वो बहुत ही सर्क्यूटस रूट है और उसमें एक जो स्टेट की पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस होता है कई चीज में। मैं खुद भी इसका, जब मैं भी कई पोजीशंस में रहा तो हम लोग चाहते थे कि किसी स्थान विशेष पे रेड करें, हमको रोका गया कि नहीं यहाँ नहीं जा सकते, वहां नहीं जा सकते, इस स्टेट से इंटीग्रेट नहीं करेंगे, बिकॉज समवेयर सम इंटरेस्ट वर इन कन्फ्लिक्ट। तो ऐसी चीजें आती वो नहीं होंगी। और अब राष्ट्र हित में ये बहुत जरूरी है कि हम इस छोटे छोटे इंटरेस्ट से ऊपर उठ करके राष्ट्र हित की सोचें, और इसके लिए थोड़ी पॉलिटिकल मेच्योरिटी आना भी बहुत जरूरी है। तो ये एक सोशल अवेकनिंग आने के बाद ये होगा जब इसकी चर्चा होगी एंड पीपल विल रियलाइज कि हाँ दिस इज द नीड ऑफ द आवर एंड ऐसा होने से ये संभव होगा। तो आई एब्सोल्युटली एग्री विद यू। तो अगर एकदम भी हम इसको चेंज ना करें तो कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट में ला करके and with consensus we must go ahead towards that, and it's a very important point which you have highlighted. Thank you so much.
Sir, thank you very much. In fact, like you said, we need not go for a revolutionary change, but if we go through getting it first on the concurrent list and then going ahead with making major changes, that could be the way out. And speeding of justice, I think that is one thing. If that comes through, अगर वो आ जाए, हमारे जो cases languish कर रहे हैं, इसमें सिर्फ मैं आपसे एक चीज पूछना भूल गया था। हो सकता है अगर टाइम मिला तो एंड में आई विल आस्क यू दैट क्वेश्चन। वी हैव रिसेंटली इंट्रोड्यूस्ड द बिल फॉर replacing the age old our IPCs and other acts which has been introduced in the parliament. What do you have to say on that? Is that going to really make a difference into our criminal justice system, or there will be no major changes? That is one thing which you could in the end cover up as your final comment. I'll move on to the next guest of ours, sir. Young Chaturvedi sir, अमृतकाल शुरू हो गया है और आप अमृतकाल के इंजन हैं। बाकी सब डिब्बे हैं सर, ये जो हम लोग बाकी जो बैठे हुए हैं हम लोग डिब्बे हैं, आप इंजन हैं। तो इंजन अगर सीधा नहीं चला तो डब्बे पटरी से उतर जाते हैं। तो योर व्यूज ऑन ए द इंजन गोइंग स्ट्रॉन्ग ऑन द रेल्स अहेड, एंड बी क्लाइमेट चेंज का कैसे इस इंजन पे असर पड़ेगा? क्योंकि अगर ये इंजन ठीक नहीं चला तो मुझे लगता है द ओनली थिंग व्हिच कैन रिटार्ड इट besides the external and internal security is the climate change, and climate change somewhere is very very important. Over to you sir.
दो तीन चीजें दुष्यंत, पहले मैं जरा एक आध एग्जांपल बता देता हूँ, फिर आई विल टेल यू माय पॉइंट्स। जी, लास्ट ईयर आपको याद होगा कि चाइना में उनकी यांगसे रिवर पार्शियली सूख गई थी, और जिसकी वजह से, जिसमें कि शिप चलते हैं, इतनी बड़ी नदी है, तो उनके यहाँ बहुत ही बुरी हालत हो गई थी, जिसकी वजह से जो ये क्लाइमेट की वजह से हो रहा है। तो ये उम्मीद की जा रही है कि अगले कुछ वर्षों में सर्टेन पोर्शंस ऑफ बांग्लादेश, मैं नेबर्स की ज़्यादा बात करूँगा, बहुत दूर जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, मालदीव्स, श्रीलंका, ये कंट्रीज, इनमें से सर्टेन पोर्शंस विल जस्ट गो अंडर वाटर। बांग्लादेश में 16 से 17% देश उनका पानी के अंदर चला जाएगा। मालदीव्स तो हो सकता है, मालदीव्स तो हो सकता है कि पूरा का पूरा ही डूब जाए ना। इससे क्या इम्प्लीकेशन होंगे, दोनों से आप जरा इससे सोच लीजिए। पहला इम्प्लीकेशन इससे ये होगा कि पानी के लिए लड़ाइयाँ शुरू होंगी, एंड तिब्बत एक मेजर इशू है इसकी वजह से। चाइना जो है उसने 60 मेकोंग पे इसलिए डैम बना रहा है कि वो पानी रोक सके। वो इतना बड़ा उसने जो में एक डैम बना रहा है, जिससे 60 गीगावाट एनर्जी की बात कर रहा है, जिससे कि वो पानी नॉर्थ में ले जा सके। उनका जागमू डैम जो है, जो उनका थ्री गॉज डैम है, नॉट जागमू, वो बुरी हालत में, कभी अगर टूट टाट गया तो बुरा हाल होगा, तो उसको उनको स्ट्रेंथन करने की जरूरत है ना। तीसरा जो अगर आप देखो इस साल, जैसे कि पहले तो गर्मी इस कदर पड़ी कि टेम्परेचर मेनी प्लेसेस रीच मोर देन 50 डिग्री सेल्सियस ड्यूरिंग समर। और अभी जो पानी की हालत आ रही है, जो मानसून आ रहे हैं, कि जैसे भी से उत्तराखंड, उत्तर और हिमाचल में जो हो रहा है, the damage to infrastructure which is happening is substantial. Now, it is that by some estimates, it is felt that by 2100 तक GDP का भारतवर्ष का लॉस will be as high as 3.5% on account of this. By 2040, जो हम पॉवर्टी एलिविएशन की बात कर रहे हैं, करीब 3.5% हमारे लोग फिर से पॉवर्टी में चले जाने की उम्मीद है। सेकेंड, नाउ ये क्यों हो रहा है? जो अगर आप देखिए, जो फ्लड भी आ रहे हैं, एंड दीज आर इंटरलिंक्ड। नाउ मैं एक छोटा सा एक साइंस का प्रिंसिपल बताता हूँ कि जब जैसे जैसे समर बढ़ता जाता है तो क्लाउड बेस हेवियर होता जाता है, बिकॉज ऑफ द लेटेंट एनर्जी, लॉट ऑफ water gets converted into vapor. And when this cloud base becomes so heavy, it cannot cross the watershed. वहीं टक्कर मारता है and results into cloud burst. चाहे वो 2010 का लद्दाख का हो, 2011 का पाकिस्तान का हो, या लास्ट ईयर का पाकिस्तान का हो, या इस साल का हमारे यहाँ हो रहा है. एंड हो सकता है कि लोअर मानसून में चाइना में हो गया, इस बार बीजिंग में कारें बह रही हैं. तो ये जो चीजें आएंगी तो इससे जो है ये दोनों लिंक्ड है ना. इनके लिए जो सबसे बड़ी चीज जो करने की जरूरत है वो हम लोगों को, वी विल हैव टू एड्रेस दिस एंड यू विल हैव टू एड्रेस इट कलेक्टिवली. नाउ एक्चुअली पहले कुछ दिन तक पहले तक ये सोचा जा रहा था कि जो वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड ने हमारे साथ अन्याय किया है, कि अब वो जो उन्होंने किया वो कह रहे हैं कि जी हम आपको पैसे दे देंगे, कार्बन क्रेडिट दे देंगे और आप हमारे लिए सब बचाओ. उनको भी जमीन पर उतरना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि जो उनके यहाँ डैमेज होता है, ये इन्वायरमेंट में ये तो है नहीं कि हमारे ये सिर्फ बरसात हिंदुस्तान के ऊपर होगी. लास्ट ईयर जब बुरा हाल हुआ था, चाइना ने जो कुछ भी किया सीपीसी के चलते, तो उससे जो पाकिस्तान में हुआ उसका असर हिंदुस्तान पे भी हुआ. जो चाइना में हो रहा है उसका असर जो है लोअर डाउन जो जितने भी साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज उन पे होगा. तिब्बत में जो हो रहा है उसका असर बांग्लादेश पे, हिंदुस्तान पे, सब पे होगा. तो ये चीज जो क्लाइमेट चेंज है, this will have to be addressed and India is quite committed and India ने पहला काम तो किया कि उन्होंने पहला तो सोलर अलायंस बनाया. और आप ये समझिए जो हमारा 2030 का टारगेट था वो हमने 2022 में पूरा कर लिया, 450 गीगावाट का. हमारा करीब 38% नाउ एनर्जी इज ट्रांजिटेड इनटू रिन्यूएबल्स. नाउ हमारे एक बहुत बड़ा रिसोर्स है जिसमें वेस्ट हमारे साथ कोऑपरेट नहीं कर रहा है, वो है न्यूक्लियर रिसोर्सेस. हमारे पास यूरेनियम तो है, ज्यादा नहीं है, तो हम तो सिर्फ एक लिमिटेड, तुम्हारा पल्ले में थोड़ा मिल गया है तो इसकी वजह से कुछ और बात बन सकती है. लेकिन जो हमारे थोरियम है जो 25% हमारे पास है, उसको हम जब यूज करने लगे, दैट्स अ क्लीन एनर्जी. तो इंडिया विल हैव टू, उसमें बहुत हेवी इन्वेस्टमेंट की जरूरत है. ऑलमोस्ट $80 ट्रिलियन तक की जरूरत पड़ेगी अगर इसको किया जाए. लेकिन अगर हो गया तो उससे एनर्जी एक ट्रांजिशन बहुत अच्छा हो सकता है. हमारे यहाँ जो सोलर जो रिन्यूएबल पे हम गए हैं, ये एक बहुत अच्छा स्टेप है. दूसरा जो उत्तराखंड या हिमाचल में, हिमाचल लिटिल लेस बिकॉज लोअर हिमालयंस का दूसरा हाल है, उत्तराखंड का दूसरा हाल है. तो इसमें हम लोगों को वी विल हैव टू बी केयरफुल अबाउट द डेवलपमेंट. व्हाट काइंड ऑफ इट हैज टू बी सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट. अब ये सोचना कि हम सब जगह सड़क ले जाएंगे, सब जगह रेल, क्योंकि हिमालयस आर स्टिल अ फॉर्मे, ये स्टिल जो है ग्रोइंग माउंटेन्स हैं, हर साल 2 सेंटीमीटर बढ़ रहे हैं. बिकॉज सीओथेसिस में ये जो है दोनों जो इंडो बर्मीज और इंडो यूरेशियन प्लेट की टक्कर से जो हो रहा है, ये ऊपर चढ़ता जा रहा है. तो ये अनस्टेबल माउंटेन्स हैं. तो यहाँ हम लोग के जो पिछले साल बद्रीनाथ में हुआ, पौड़ी में हुआ, अभी हो रहा है, तो ये जो है हम लोगों को थोड़ा केयरफुल रहना पड़ेगा. दूसरा प्लांटेशन इज एसेंशियल. थर्ड, जो हम लोगों का जितनी एक और देखो, एक जो हम लोग चीज बिल्कुल मिस कर जा रहे हैं कि मान लीजिए समर में will we be able to work as much as we are working now? 50 डिग्री सेल्सियस अगर बाहर का टेम्परेचर होगा, हमारी मशीन्स काम करना बंद कर देंगी, हमारे इंसानों की कैपेसिटी घट जाएगी, तो हम कैसे काम करेंगे? तो अगर आपका 6 महीना काम नहीं, फिर आपके एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्शन पे जो उसका असर पड़ेगा, आपकी जो पूरी जो रबी की क्रॉप है, अगर आपने जल्दी नहीं काट ली तो अर्ली मानसून जो होता है, जो विंटर मानसून होता है, जैसे इस साल डैमेज हुआ, बहुत ज्यादा डैमेज हो जाएगा. समर जो है आपका जो खरीफ है वो देर से आपको लगाना पड़ेगा. देर से लगाने का मतलब काटने में देरी होगी, तो विंटर आ जाएंगे. तो ये चीजें जो है, ये जो क्लाइमेट चेंज है, इट हैज ओवरऑल हैज टू बी एड्रेस्ड. और जो आप बोल रहे हो, मैं बिल्कुल आपसे इत्तेफाक रखता हूँ. इंडिया विल हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुली एड्रेस दिस इश्यू. प्लांटेशन, मोर वाटर बॉडीज, मोर स्टोरेज कैपेसिटी. मैं एक और बहुत छोटा स्टैट्स आपको देता हूँ. 92% ऑफ मॉनसून जस्ट गोज वेस्ट. अगर आप एक दूसरा से पाकिस्तान 180 AMF पानी दिया जा रहा है उनको इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी के में, और वो उसमें से जो है मेजॉरिटी ऑफ वाटर इज गेटिंग वेस्टेड इनटू अरेबियन सी. बांग्लादेश से 96 में हम लोगों ने अकॉर्ड किया, उनको हम पानी दे रहे हैं, लेकिन क्या है कि उनको सरफेस वाटर जो है वो कम होता जा रहा है, तो ग्राउंड वाटर कर रहे हैं, तो कंटेमिनेशन हो रहा है, तो हेल्थ इश्यूज आ रही है। तो ये जो क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से हेल्थ इश्यूज आएंगी, जो क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से पानी की कमी आएगी, बिकॉज वाटर अवेलेबिलिटी विल हैव टू बी, मोर वाटर स्टोरेज विल हैव टू बी क्रिएटेड, सो मच ऑफ पानी गोइंग, कहीं ना कहीं तो इसको रोकना चाहिए। अगर हम इसको नहीं रोक सकते तो नुकसान होगा। दूसरा, जो हमारी जो सिविल इंजीनियरिंग के कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क्स हैं, उनको वी विल हैव टू एड्रेस इन ए मैनर दैट दे बिकम, आप देखिए कि जो 2013 का उत्तराखंड में जो चौबारी ग्लेशियर पे हुआ था, एक जिसको नुकसान नहीं हुआ तो केदारनाथ धाम। केदारनाथ धाम को कुछ नहीं हुआ, उसके चारों तरफ से पानी निकल गया, कुछ नहीं हुआ। कुल्लू में आया, कुल्लू में नदी के बीच में जो बिल्डिंग थी वो नहीं टूटी, पूरा सांसे उड़ गया। क्यों? क्योंकि जो बिल्डिंग का कंस्ट्रक्शन का डिजाइन था वो डिफरेंट था। आप ये देखिए उत्तराखंड में जो सुनामी की वजह से जो अंडमान में आया, जो उनके अपने जो हेक्सागोनल स्ट्रक्चर्स थे और जो कि स्टिल्स पे थे वो बच गए, लेकिन जो हमारा बनाया हुआ स्ट्रक्चर सारे उड़ गए। कारण लोकल वर्नाक्यूलर आर्किटेक्चर पे हम लोगों को बहुत जोर देने की जरूरत है। ये नहीं कि जो दिल्ली में ट्रू है वही पौड़ी में ट्रू हो जाएगा, वही देहरादून में ट्रू हो जाएगा, वही पोर्ट ब्लेयर में ट्रू हो जाएगा। सो ऑल दीज इश्यूज विल हैव टू बी एड्रेस्ड एंड ए वेरी say detailed thought will have to be given to this. आप देखो हमारी जो ट्रेडिशनल स्किल्स थी, हेवी इंडस्ट्री पे जोर नहीं था, विलेज लेवल इंडस्ट्रीज पे जोर था। सो प्रॉब्लम जो हम जितनी एनर्जी कंज्यूम करके इन चीजों को जनरेट कर रहे हैं, उससे क्या हो रहा है कि आपने पेड़ काट दिए, आपको ज्यादा एसी की जरूरत पड़ रही है। एसी हुआ तो आपका जो है सीएफसी बढ़ती जा रही है, सीएफसी बढ़ती जाती है, ओजोन लेयर जलेगी, ओजोन जलेगी, कैंसर बढ़ जाएंगे। तो वी आर डैमेजिंग आवर ओन साइकिल। सो नेचुरल साइकिल विल हैव टू बी रिस्टोर्ड। दैट इज व्हाट माय पॉइंट इज।
Thank you, sir. We are little now over time, sir. So we'll give last word to Major AK Singh and then go in for the question answers, because we are already, I think, 1 घंटा 15 मिनट हो चुका है हम लोगों को। Over to you, Major AK Singh, sir. आपका एक ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स पे फाइनल कमेंट्स, कितनी स्पोर्ट्स की अहमियत होनी चाहिए, स्पोर्ट्स के ऊपर थोड़ा मुझे वो करें, क्योंकि हम सुपर पावर हो जाएं और अगर हम ओलंपिक्स में वैसे फिसलती रहें तो कैसे क्या होगा। और एंड यू बीइंग अ स्पोर्ट्समैन, do tell us something to go ahead as far as Amrit Kaal में sports की improvement के लिए।
Thank you, General Dushyant. I think on the sports front, very big surprises I can say for myself over the last 2 or 3 decades. कि we are doing much better than थोड़ा बहुत पेसिमिज्म हम सब लोगों में आ जाता है कि हम लोग कैसे करेंगे, क्या करेंगे, लेकिन जो हम देख रहे हैं स्पोर्ट्स फ्रंट पे, वो आई पर्सनली फील इलेटेड, वेरी हैप्पी दैट ऑन द स्पोर्ट्स फ्रंट ओवरऑल डेवलपमेंट। देयर वाज अ टाइम जब हम कहते थे क्रिकेट के अलावा और कुछ भी नहीं, एंड थोड़ा बहुत देयर वाज अ रेबिड रिएक्शन टुवर्ड्स क्रिकेट की, और किसी चीज को कोई भी हम इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं दे रहे। लेकिन आज की तारीख पे मैं देख रहा हूँ, whether it's isolated wins like our javelin thrower Neeraj, who is the top javelin thrower in the world, our girls who are boxing and kushti champions in the world, our hockey girls who are doing very well, and hockey team has just won the other day the world championship. And and there is a lot of focus on it. दोनों पेपर्स में भी मैं टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया और एक दैनिक जागरण भी लेता हूँ, तो एक सेपरेट पेज ओनली ऑन अदर स्पोर्ट्स, नॉट ओनली ऑन क्रिकेट. So we are developing very well. Our sports academies have also come up very well, and I think in that direction it is very heartening to see that people are doing very well. Of course, the state has had a very major role to play in it, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने जो प्रोत्साहन दिए हैं और एजुकेशन के लिए भी, एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए भी प्रोत्साहन दिए हैं, वो रंग ला रहे हैं. As far as the value of the sports is concerned towards nation building and character building, it cannot be underpinned. It is so important. Enough has been said on that, and all of us understand that. So that will lead to large scale, kind of contribution towards nation building, towards character building, towards team building as it proliferates more and more. But even so, स्कूल लेवल पे जो स्पोर्ट्स हैं उनको करने की जरूरत है. अभी प्रोत्साहन बेस्ड स्पोर्ट्स चल रहा है कि पीपल इंसेंटिव बेस्ड दे वांट टू कम इनटू द स्पोर्ट्स, बट स्कूल लेवल स्पोर्ट्स में अभी भी एज अ कंपल्सरी आउटडोर एक्टिविटी we are still very much focused on our academic curriculum. I think our school level sports, compulsory sports need to be implemented far more, and that will lead to that will be you can say an input for the next few decades when these sportsmen at school level will experience their character building and their values that come from sports, and they will be imbibed into them as adults, young adults, and then adults. The other thing I just want to say as a parting remark is that I think what I said earlier also, in addition to that, I think the one factor, if I would like to say, is that if we build into every individual a deep sense of self-esteem, I think that solves almost all the problems of you can say inequality in society, feeling superior or inferior to each other, and the social fabric of society, the cohesiveness of society, the deep sense of self esteem and values that will automatically make all of us do the ordinary things very, very well because we have self esteem. I will not do it in any other way because I have got self esteem. So I think this one factor, self esteem, is something that we as social leaders, हम में social leadership at micro level, at housing society level, at family level तो leadership है, social leadership है, but at village level, at housing society level, at small city or village level, we shy off from social leadership. Everyone wants to be either leadership की बात आती है वो या तो MLA, MLC या अपना cooperator बनना चाहता है, and then he talks of a lot of social development and how people should be. But I think even at micro level, जो social leadership है at immediate surrounding levels, in a healthy manner. Social leadership doesn't mean you tick off somebody and you belittle somebody, but I think that will lead a lot to character building, a lot to society cohesiveness. That is what I have to say. Thank you.
Right, sir. In fact, now we will cut short our internal discussion, and move to some important questions. And in that, whatever is balanced, I think will get answered when we listen to the questions. The first question comes to John Kakkad, sir. This is, although well known to us, but I think the audience still has a little bit of doubt as far as our military capability is concerned. Samrat Ashok says Indian Navy personnel continuously provide feedback to the in-house design facility, resulting in ongoing equipment improvement and refinement. This dynamic, it's a continuation. This dynamic isn't as pronounced in the Army and the Air Force. Could you clarify to Samrat exactly what is the current situation?
See, all the three services have a similar thing. You may have a difference in name, you may not have it as publicly announced because the Navy needs it, since most of the manufacturing is done by the dockyards. So they are part of the dockyard system, they are part of the ongoing process. But everywhere you've got this organization whose basic task is to monitor the equipment, work out where are the faults, carry out the modification and rectifications, and that's how it comes. There is a continuous process of improvement of equipment. We've got the organization in Delhi. The name is just slipping my mind. It's based in Delhi as far as the EME is concerned. And it is a similar one as far as the Air Force is concerned.
Base workshop.
Pardon?
Base workshop.
No, base workshop is where it is there. There's a separate EME setup. It's a technical group, something which is responsible
TG group.
All the TG group, the technical group, which is responsible for coordinating with all the workshops as to where are the faults, and that is how the rectification takes place. It's a well-designed system.
Plus, now it has been now it has been directly put under the deputy chief. A new deputy chief has been
Okay.
created, and
So
army
that's how
army
the
design
system.
board is now under it, and so therefore it is getting that focus. And at the CDS level also, there is a plan ahead to combine the three
That
designs.
will get combined. You
Yeah,
see, once the entire system of procurement gets
DD
into
capacity building.
it will all go up.
Army
It will be all
headquarters
part of
DD
capacity
capacity
building.
building.
So, sir, next question is for, I think Mr. Maheshwari can answer this question. Sirs, I heard there is a least or no impact of education on radicalization by terrorism. Experts like Osama Alaza, etc. Compared to our neighbors, India has less radicalization, yet we have issues in India. So basically, what he's trying to ask you is that despite the fact that we have a lesser amount of radicalization, but we still continue to have internal issues, internal fault lines, and some amount of radicalization takes place. What is the reason for it, and how do you cope up with it? Sir, Maheshwari sir.
The reason is that there's a lack of right type of primary education, even the social education in the families they have, the social fabric which is weak, and at times there are already the fault lines and ruptures. The way the society has been, fractured by some of the elements in different spaces. So we, the government of India, also has a counter radicalization plans, and in which various ministries are working. So that brings the people together, and makes them think that what exactly they are doing and they should not do. At the same time, wherever we catch hold of the people, then there's a proper counseling and bringing them back to the psychological treatment of these people, bringing them back. These cases have been taking place, and the police as well as the community has been helping us. So, but these things will remain because of various reasons that we are on the internet, and parental controls, the community controls, and the education, I mean, institutional controls have gone weak, and people have access to any type of information flowing. So, this is not only radicalization which is harming the nation on the internal security grid, but there are so many things the people are learning which may not be the real knowledge, will not be a fact, but they are swayed by whatever is being presented, and they have more access to it. So that is another area of concern. How we are now going to set the mindset of the young people who are coming forth. So that is a huge discussion, and even in the drawing rooms and even at the public spaces, the way the new things are being propagated through the internet and the media. So this is also a part of it. That is all I would
Uh,
like to say at this.
you can continue, sir. The next question also pertains to you. How Punjab, JNK, TN, West Bengal, Kerala, these border states are vulnerable. How can we control this? It's just an elaboration of the fact that from internal
Yeah,
border
this
issues
may,
are also
yeah.
important.
Yeah. There are
Yes.
multiple approaches to it. Number one is the border guarding grids, which we have been strengthening, and they're the state security grids. Multiple states are coming together, and even the borders, the smart borders are being created so that the border intrusion is stopped. Number two is the investigation into various types of information, so the inputs which are coming, the investigation are done by intelligence agencies. If there's an open evidence and the case is registered, then the police also does the investigation, which detects that who are the elements and from where the things are being done, and even the criminal cases are being registered against them. Then there is if there are certain inputs which are flowing from abroad, then we seek, as per the protocols, as per the mutual treaties with the states, we seek help of the other states also, and in the Interpol. And otherwise, even the MEA also creates some sort of a cooperate, takes step extra to help us in getting support of the foreign countries, whosoever is there. So these are various aspects which we take into account. And then there are some sort of civil society cooperation is also sought, which is a part of the intelligence operations. And as I said, the counter radicalization plans are also in place. So there are different types of strategies we follow in the human terrain to curb them. And if there are definitely inputs and we locate the presence of such elements, of course, then the armed forces are asked to conduct operations, and they are neutralized. So neutralizing the impact of all the elements as multifarious approach, and even their funding, their presence here and there, everything. We also put the digital tools to scan their movement, what type of funding, what are their OGW supports. So it's a very comprehensive and wide investigation that takes place, and then the agencies collectively work on it. Different agencies come together because different agencies have different types of inputs, and a very holistic response is generated.
Yeah, I just would like to add that as far as the maritime borders are concerned, we also have a maritime coastal security police, and over and above that, the Navy has been made as the overall in charge, and it's with its headquarters of command control communications at Gurgaon, and they are now being developed into a one single cohesive network. So maritime security is also being looked after as part of the border security organization. Next question is for me, but I would also like anybody else who can take on. I made that comment, ki lesser the guns, better the security. But that was told in a context. By that, what we mean is when we say lesser the guns, we mean guns of the security forces and not the guns which are floating around in the public. Yes. So when the security forces are less seen on the ground, which means the security is that much better. अगर आप दिल्ली में घूम रहे हैं तो आपको पुलिस वाले कम दिखेंगे तो सिक्योरिटी ज्यादा अच्छी मानी जाएगी उस जगह की. That was the context. But now you are seeing in America there is a problem coming up. It is not small problem for America now. Guns are so many there that the gun culture has become very, very, first of all, damaging and divisive both. If anybody wants to add to this, he
So
can add to
USA is
this.
also rethinking, right?
Yes, US is also rethinking about this.
No, even the
So
USA is rethinking what should they do with their arms licensing policy.
that's what I'm saying. So we need to be careful that what kind of guns are being seen on the ground, not that the security forces lesser the deployment, better the security. That's the whole aim of my statement was. Okay, so I think there is another question. This can be taken on by Jan Chaturvedi, sir, regarding agriculture. Rather than talking in contribution, why can't we make or look our second fertile land in the world as aspiring to become food bowl of world, given the youth, technology, and the climate? Uh,
Absolutely. What Vijay is saying, I am totally in agreement with him. In fact, this is where, say, we need to admire, say, Gandhian thought. He said that prosperity of India, the root is through villages. The entire ecosystem. Say, cow is a economic ecosystem. Village itself is a full system where if you provide better infrastructure, better medical support, better technology, better seeds, better manure, and all those things, better soil health card, better land management, say based on say cooperative movement. All those things, if you start doing, that is where say Vinoba Bhave's say Bhudan and all those things are very very handy. So I totally agree with you that, and Vijay, your point is so valid that we need to not only talk about others, we have to talk about ourselves. In case if we go by Western model that we create bigger industry, so the industrial, if agriculture sector gets shrunk, what will happen to the food security? Food security
Absolutely
will result into internal security. Food
correct.
security will result into water security. So
Anarchy.
therefore, need to have, it's an entire thing. So the agriculture cannot be ignored. Agriculture presently, what I had said, that it is contributing to GDP only 15%, but labor force is 45%. So we need to utilize this manpower in the villages and for them to provide kind of employment for those say lean periods. A, B, if the labor force is more, the remuneration would be less. The land holding itself has become so small that it is becoming non-remunerative. So these two things make it very, very difficult. So therefore, Neither, and that is where I said that those three land reforms bills were very useful, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, I mean, I will not go into that's a separate discussion altogether. But in case if we want agriculture to support our economy, we will have to go for it. We will have to create a system where someone who's producing a vegetable in Uttar Pradesh and it gets sold in West Bengal, or West Bengal, the fish comes to India. Say North India. So this kind of a thing, you will have to create transport mechanism. You will have to create, say, that kind of bandwidth in the spectrum, so that I am on the. I mean, it is said that blue economy. I was talking to an Impeda person in Kerala. He says that today a fisherman who goes into the sea, from there he says, "अच्छा इस जगह fish का rate अच्छा मिल रहा है." So he turns his boat that side. So therefore, we will have to create those kind of a systems. So make it rather than so. Agriculture today is a less contributory because we have made it like this. We have created. We went for heavy industry mode. So we'll have to
Right.
go back to old model.
Yeah. A comment, sir. Sikkim boasts the best, finest healthcare indicators, including exceptional average life expectancy, lower rates of infant and maternal mortality. It leads across all these parameters. Absolutely true. But we have to see, Samrat, where is Bihar? So we this unequalness which is there is something which is troubling us, and I think we need to take care of that, especially. Luckily, some states are getting out of that Bimaru mode, no?
And
Bimaru
and
state.
Dushan, just one point on this. You know
Yeah.
what Major AK had said. We need to take into account. We should start thinking like Indian. Now,
Yes.
if Ayushman model has come, now somebody said, नहीं जी हमारा मॉडल उससे अच्छा है. कोई बोले नहीं मेरा मॉडल उससे भी अच्छा है, मैं 25 लाख दूंगा, कोई कोई 50 लाख दूंगा. इसके बजाय एक यूनिवर्सल अगर हेल्थ केयर का मॉडल भी what is say is happening in Sikkim is totally understood and it is spread across, and that will help, because if health is correct, rest all economy अपने आप boost होने लगेगी.
Okay. This is something which Rishi has commented upon based on आपकी जो comment थी about engineering colleges and medical
I'll
colleges.
give a comment on this.
So, and even I think Janal Kakkad mentioned about it that we were opening an IIM in Tanzania, etc. So, both of you can give your quick comments, sir, not very long because we are
Okay,
now
okay.
really running out of time, sir.
You know, in good say the new NEP, what they have said, they said that after first or two semester you can drop out, go and work in the field, and come back and rejoin. That is the kind of thing. Say this model is followed in. Say Harsh would share, Major AK would share that in army we follow that. Say graded graduation. Say class 4, class 3, class 2, class 1, and this is where on-job training is done in between. So in engineering also, unless you do this kind of a thing, by the time you come out, you are good theoretically, but unless you have that academia industry in the interface, uh, uh, you will have problem even in engineering. There are so many new techniques, because by the time he finishes techniques, learning techniques, he does not know how to apply them on ground. So that is the problem.
Janal
See,
Kakkad, sir,
Rishi,
you can comment on the second question of Rishi also.
yeah. You see, Rishi, when AFMC opened up, that was the time when India really had a shortfall in terms of medical colleges and medical resources. Like I had written recently in an article on realigning the entire medical infrastructure, that is the armed forces medical recruitment infrastructure. Today, with the plethora of medical colleges, with the plethora of paramedical training institutes, why is the need for us to do our own? Why can't we pick up from the civil, put them through refreshers? Of course, a lot of people will object that you're changing a base system, but then we've got to accept the change ourselves. No, now the engineering colleges that the armed forces runs, even if you come as a qualified engineer, you have to go through a very major reshape module Because combat engineering, whether it's in terms of equipment, whether it's in terms of ground engineering, or whether it's in terms of water engineering, everything is vastly different. So you really have to undergo a major change. But as far as medical is concerned, it's generally on the same lines. The AFMC gives you a basic MBBS degree with no changes from any other college. And the fact is, you've got such a plethora of medical institutes, as also paramedical institutes. I think it's time we actually started looking at the paramedical recruitment directly from the civil. And apart from AMC, even today, when you want specialist doctors, you pick them up straight from the civil market because they're basically available. The same is there with the dental. So I think this sort of a system that we don't need to build up more of our own such similar infrastructure and look at it from the outside.
Okay, so we have in fact far too many questions today, but I would like to
You can
just show
direct
one.
them directly to us so we can answer them.
Yeah, no, I'm
Not
just saying
now,
that no.
say on one to one.
Yeah. So I'll request each one of you to please focus these questions or send these questions to us. We have our email and we will be able to answer them one to one. Email is there in the description box of the YouTube video. So you can approach Strive India anytime from anywhere on your mobile, on your handset. I will also request all of you to kindly, kindly uh, like, subscribe, press the bell icon so that we can give you more such videos. Last, I would definitely like to show Colonel Salwan's comment so that you all can just have a look at it. Let me just try to find out with so many questions. Yeah, it's here. It's here. It's here. Yeah, he gave a very yes. He gave a very kind of a abstract comment. Independence is freedom with responsibility. Real freedom is the freedom of mind. In other words, intellectual freedom complements physical freedom. I think this sums up a lot of issues, and we need
Well
to
said.
end our discussion with this. Thank you very much to our listeners, our viewers. In fact, you all have been a great support for us. We have traversed about two
My
months.
apology for being late.
It doesn't matter, sir. We have, in fact, one of the comments was of Kulfresh that it was so nice to see so many experts in one place on one panel. So it's a direct compliment to each one of you for having contributed into this discussion. For Sachi Azadi, we will close our discussion by just having our thank you video, which is going to be